Alright all Which Bookie followers, and welcome back to another ante-post selection for the Christmas racing coming up over the next few days. It's a little bit like the Dublin buses at the moment. No ante-post selections for ages, suddenly two in 2 days. We had two horses obviously for the Paddy Power yesterday put up. Go and watch that video if you haven't already. Put up Donkey Years and Gallant John Joe for that race. Fingers crossed the two of them get declared. I think the declarations for both the 26th and the 27th are out tomorrow. The 24th at latest, but I think they're out tomorrow actually on the 23rd. Recording this on the 22nd, and obviously trying to get through into some of those English and British meetings as well. And the Coral Welsh Grand National is the big feature handicap chase on the 27th at Chepstow. It's a big race, a lucrative race, and a grueling race. 3 mile, 5 furlongs. Usually run on much softer terrain than it's probably going to encounter this time round. It's a race that's always been called off through to weather. That shouldn't be the case on this occasion, but it is a very interesting race nonetheless. And there's a few horses in there at the top of the betting, the likes of the Galloping Bear, the Big Dog coming over from Ireland, that all have their chances. But I've landed on one, and there's two rationales behind it really. Well, there's actually a fair few rationales, but most of all, I think Chepstow is more of a specialist track than you give it credit for. I think obviously it's a galloping track. Everyone thinks their horses will be suited by it, and a lot of horses are suited by it to a certain extent, but some really specialise around this place. And sometimes you do look at the Welsh Grand National over the last few years. I Will Do It, Secret Reprieve, Potter's Corner, all previous winners at the track, and I think it is something to bear in mind. Also, you've seen from the likes of Evan Williams, Christian Williams, that these Welsh trainers do very well, and it means an awful lot to the Welsh trainers to try and go and win this race. So that's another thing to bear in mind. And also, obviously, you want a progressive up and coming chaser, which is usually the second season novice or sometimes just the unexposed handicapper in there. The one that ticks all three of those boxes for me is a horse called Pat's Fancy, trained by Rebecca Curtis, a very progressive novice last year, won twice at this track, both over 2 miles 7, then went on to finish second off a big weight to Brave Man's Game at Newbury in a novice's handicap. He was well beat in the national chase behind Statler. I don't think there was much discredit in that. He probably had a long, hard season at that point. The ground was a bit quicker than ideal. And you're also coming up against Statler, who's potentially going to be a Gold Cup horse this year. So therefore, I wouldn't kind of look into that too much. Rebecca Curtis has said, though, that he obviously got quite jarred up by that and therefore had to take a little bit more time out this summer. And therefore, they were looking to try get 2 prep runs into him before this race and have only managed the 1, which was a pretty listless handicap hurdle effort, should I say, not expert. But at the same stage, he's a much better chaser. His performances when fresh in prior years as well. I was actually at Chepstow last year for his seasonal reappearance when he was 4th of 5 in a pretty Mickey Mouse novices handicap. So he comes on tremendously for those efforts. And I think off a mark of 142, there's room for scope off this mark. And I think he is a little bit better than it. Given Rebecca Curtis, who's been, I wouldn't say in the doldrums, but she hasn't probably scaled the heights that she did earlier on in her training career. But what we have seen, even over the last few years, is when she has the right type of horse, she's more than able to get them to do the job. We've seen it with Liz Nagar Oscar. We saw it even with this horse last year to prepare to run some very nice races and win a few nice prizes at this track. He's currently 12 to 1 with William Hill. He's as short as 9 to 1 with other bookies. I would make him probably a cut-off price of around 7 to 1 personally in this. I think he's got a very good chance. I think 12 to 1 is really, really generous from William Hill. So if you can avail of that, 4 places each way with the majority of bookies ante-post as well, do take it. He seems to be primed for the run. Unless something goes wrong, he will be running, and he will obviously give us a run for our money. The rumours are, I've been watching a bit at the races this afternoon, the rumours are that James Bowen is going to take the ride. That's a fantastic booking, and a booking I was really, really pleased to hear. So Pat's Fancy at 12 to 1 for the Coral Welsh Grand National to hopefully bring us a double big handicap winner on the 27th. Between Donkey Years, Gallant John Joe and Pat's Fancy, let's hope we've solved the Paddy Power and the Welsh Grand National. Best of luck and enjoy your Christmas.